I just witnessed one of the worst anime takes in 2025, let alone in history. Long story short, there was this girl that said Goku is the exact same as Hisoka in Hunter x Hunter based off of how they approach fighting people. Basically, her argument was he's attracted to power the exact same way Goku is, which makes them the same. And I just gotta say, that is the worst take I've ever heard in the history of takes. And I've heard some pretty bad ones. Very bad. There was no heat applied to this take. None. I'm talking the darkest depth of space kind of cold. How the hell do you relate this to this in terms of how they fight people? And I even listened through her entire argument. It didn't make any sense. It just kept getting more and more convoluted. Hisoka is a weird ass dude. I don't need to elaborate any further. Goku is nothing like that. Not even close. And especially in terms of the way you described it. Be so for real. I want to fight you with your strongest, so either I'm getting my ass beat or you're getting your ass beat. How does that even relate? How did you relate this to this? Like, I'm curious, what even made you want to voice that take? None of it made any sense.
Let's talk about some of the biggest frauds in anime. Anybody who complains about the big three having too much filler. Stop acting like you grew up in the 90s. You weren't around when we had to sit week to week. You literally have whole websites dedicated to where the filler is and when you can skip it. You're a fraud. Anybody who says One Piece is too long. If you actually watch the show, you would know that it's not long enough. You're a fraud. Anybody who says Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood has bad animation or bad writing. Somebody came in my chat the other day and said they couldn't watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood because the animation was trash. You didn't watch the show. You're a fraud. The people who say isekai anime are trash but forget Digimon, Yu Yu Hakusho, Spirited Away, and Inuyasha are all isekai. You're a fraud. Next is anybody who said they can't get into My Hero Academia because of the community. Hey, here's an idea. Why don't you watch the show and form your own opinion? You're a fraud. And don't even get me started on people who say Goku was a bad dad. You're a fraud. What are some fraudulent behavior you've seen in the anime community? Let me know in the comment section and I'll see you next time. Peace.
So I've been on TikTok watching the most brain dead nonsense garbage takes about anime. People saying just worthless garbage. People basically watching all of One Piece through TikTok reels and clips, and it sucks. Not a fan of it at all. I want to point something out. I didn't grow up immediately with anime. I started with some greats. I watched Rurouni Kenshin. I've seen that. I've seen Crying Freeman, one of my favorites of all time. I've seen Fistful, North Star, Outlaw Star. And in the early 90s and 2000s, some of the most fascinating animes that came out besides Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, if you dig a little deeper, you'll find Serial Experiments Land, which was great. Loved it so much. A Boogie Pop Phantom. This is real specific. A Paranoia Agent. What was Technolize? Ergo Proxy. There was a Hindbane Rinmei. Now and Then, Here and There. There's also another one. Gilgamesh. I'm just naming stuff at this point. Kino's Journey. Gasaraki. The Big O. Better Man. Argento Soma. Zegapane, Zoids. I don't know if you know about Zoids. I watched all of Gundam, every single Gundam. Shingu, Secret of the Stellar Wars. Nadia of Blue Water. The Ugly Yet Beautiful World. Solti Ray. I've seen a lot of anime, by the way. I've seen a lot, but I've started watching anime when I had cancer. When I was 16, 17, around that range of age, I had blood cancer that went to my lungs. I had leukemia. And as I had this in my body, I wanted to watch a bunch of anime that I'd never seen. I'd made fun of all those people running through the halls, those Naruto people that smelled weird, because I thought the anime was weird. But I was watching Pokemon. I had seen Dragon Ball Z a little bit because I'm black. Every black person seen Dragon Ball Z. I had seen these shows. And I had later in life learned a deep love for anime. But I was also there watching anime fans fight other anime fans about purism. You've never seen School Rumble? You ever seen Oran High School Host Club? Wait a minute, you never seen Rosario X Vampire? You haven't seen Hunter x Hunter? You haven't seen Yu Yu Hakusho? And then there was the great exodus, the great war of Sword Art Online. If you were not there in the anime community during Sword Art Online, oh my god. It was crazy. Sword Art Online got anime a little bit more popular. That was the one that pushed people over. There was Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, two very different series. I watched them both. But there was just this exodus of, oh my god, everybody hates Sword Art Online, but it was so popular that it was hated. That was getting anime a bit more mainstream. That's what pushed the isekai genre over the roof. over the deep roof. And then I got reincarnated as a slime, got more popular, and the isekais just became this saturated genre where everything's the isekai. That time I did this, that time I get that. I'm a refrigerator, I'm a vending machine in another world. It was crazy. It just got really saturated with that aspect. And a lot of people blame tourism on Demon Slayer. They say, oh, Demon Slayer did it. But I'd like to point something out. This is a good thing. I've seen Heat Guy J, Figure 17, Planetus, Rod the TV, Fully Cooley, Maho Romantic. I've seen a lot of shows. Seen Fantastic Children. And I love anime. It's really good. I've always disliked the anime community. As a matter of fact, I wear mask and full-on cosplay to hide myself at anime conventions. Smells, the fans are sometimes weird because anime deeply is a very anti-social thing. Anime was for the people that were the outcasts and the social needs that didn't really fit into the main framework of society. That was a big part of anime because they found a relationship with the escapism of anime. That's what made it so popular. But then it got bigger, and now these people that are in anime community feel as though that these new anime fans are ruining the medium. And to that degree, I agree ever so slightly. Gatekeeping is horrible, but I agree that a lot of these brain dead takes on TikTok are deeply pissing me off. They really are. Anime tourism is cringeworthy, culturally reductive, and it has TikTok brain side effects where you gotta have a second screen while watching the one screen and some guy at the bottom is saying, whoa, that looks cool. And then there's horrible people that don't like the older anime and then worship the newer ones. And if it doesn't have aura moments and hype moments, it's garbage. It's an undeniable economic engine. It's a massive global injection of capital into an industry that has historically run on fumes of otaku passion and underpaid animator sweat. I want to point this out. Without this influx of bigger anime fans, we wouldn't have any of this goodness. We wouldn't have the Sakuga moments. We wouldn't have it. And I know that anime was built by the Gooners. I know you built it. The people that were watching the pervert stuff and nonsense and all the obscure stuff, High School DxD. You guys built anime. I'm not gonna lie to you. You guys were the main framework for why anime was so prevalent, why it even got some of the dub and sub releases. You guys made conventions popular. You guys made the body pillow industry excel. I'm not gonna deny that in any capacity, but the influx of casual surface level fans isn't a dilution of the culture. It's a necessary transfusion of cash that is directly funding the astronomical production values we see in modern anime. Those breathtaking, ufotable fight sequences that melt your eyeballs, that impossibly detailed backgrounds in a Makoto Shinkai film, the sheer number of new series greenlit every single season that I can't even keep up. This doesn't happen without a massive expanding global market. That happens because a girl in Ohio watched Demon Slayer on TikTok and bought a $400 statue. That's what happened. This gatekeeping is really bad. I'm not trying to attack the fandom. I'm not. I love anime fans, but I hate the community. It's a big difference. I don't like the ideology of anime fans. Is what I want to get at. It's not good. Because it was a niche community that celebrated masterpieces while the artists who created them were famously overworked and underpaid. That's what happened. The good old days were an economic disaster for the actual creators. The new wave of tourism, for all its faults, has created a financial ecosystem where studios can actually budget for quality, more fans, even ignorant, disgusting, worthless. I hate them so much. Even the worst fans, even the ones that suck on TikTok, mean more sales, more streaming revenue, more merchandise, moving at the scale that was previously unimaginable. I went to go see that Demon Slayer movie. Oh my god. I have never once in my life seen such amazing detail in any movie. And they must have infinite money. I don't even know where the money is coming from. And then I saw the new Chainsaw Man trailer that's coming out in October. Ooh, that looks phenomenal. Studio Ghibli did amazing work, and it was fantastic, and it was lovely, and it had this heart-wrenching feel, and everybody knew about Studio Ghibli. This is beyond that. The tours create a rising tide that lifts all boats. That's what it is. A show doesn't have to be niche or an experimental art project to get funding anymore. A wildly popular. This is what I've discovered. You guys remember Solo Leveling? Solo Leveling has not that good of a story. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think the story of Solo Leveling is that good. I think Freyren, Beyond Journey's End, is really, really good. Do I think it deserves Anime of the Year? Yes, I do. I really do. But it was competing against aura and hype moments and TikTok edits. And when you add the entirety of the world to a voting poll for the best anime of the year, Solo Leveling is going to win by a landslide because it had crazy fight scenes. The success of a My Hero Academia, let's say a show like that, helps create the financial ability that allows the studio to make a Astro Boy remake. You know what I mean? Something stranger, quieter, and more artistically ambitious. I remember there was a guy who really wanted me to watch Interspecies Reviewers. Really bad. He really wanted me to watch it. So I did. And I said, wow, I can't believe they made this show. And they said, yeah, let's watch Redo of Healer. Then I watched 3 episodes of Redo of Healer and I said, is it all just this? He said, yeah. I said, okay. A little bit strange, but I'm happy you can watch it. I'm happy it has funding to actually get made. Because Redo of Healer wouldn't have gone past a light novel had it not been for the influx of anime fans. Even for the weirdos that I think are weird, you guys get your shows too, and I'm very happy about that. I'm happy you guys get to be weird in your show together within your community, because you have a community now. You're no longer outcasts. You're people that actually get something now. This is fun. Everyone had their tourist moment where they weren't sure about anime. Maybe they didn't even know they were watching anime. I had it. I didn't know Dragon Ball Z was anime. I thought it was just really cool cartoons that were a bit more action-paced and action-packed. That's what I had assumed. I didn't know that. The moral panic I'm seeing over fake fans, it seems to be just a weird attempt by older fans who cling on to this sense of ownership over a culture that was never theirs to begin with. The medium doesn't belong to the hardened veterans. It belongs to anyone who watches it. That's it. That's who it is. They're a fan if they like Demon Slayer. They're a fan if they like JJK. They're a fan if they enjoy only Naruto, or if they only seen Dragon Ball Z. They are an anime fan because they're a fan of the anime. If you've only ever seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you are a fan. If you've only ever seen Demon Slayer, ever, My Hero, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is, I'm just restating the same things over and over again. You're a fan. You are a fan. For better or for worse, the sheer volume of engagement is what gives it this cultural staying power. That is what it is. I know anime back in the day was a small subculture. To be fair, I was there at the anime conventions making fun of you guys. I literally paid for a weekend badge at an anime convention to people watch because I thought it was weird. Just thought it was weird. Just thought it was strange. And at that point, I was a tourist. Now, I paid for a weekend badge to do I'm doing panels. I'm doing a panel in November at Youmacon in Detroit, Michigan. I am a guest at anime conventions because I love anime now, because I've learned to love it. The tourism also, what it's doing is forcing a long overdue modernization of the industry itself. The international demand of anime is pressuring Japanese studios to finally embrace dub and sub releasing at the same exact time. And I know people hate that. People say, oh, dub is worse. I agree. I agree. But dubs are getting better. They are. Better subtitling. Because Baki's subtitles, if you ever seen Baki the Grappler, oh my god, the subtitles for that suck. The global marketing strategies on day one, they are no longer treating the international audience as an afterthought, because that audience is now their primary profit center. This is forcing a more global, more responsive industry. Now, I want to say, are the takes bad? Yes, the takes they have on TikTok are bad. Is the content often shallow and reductive? Absolutely. It's 100%. You are correct about that. But that's the cost of doing business at this scale. That's what happens. When your favorite underground artist gets big and you say, I was an original fan, no one gives a fuck. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares if you were there when Kendrick had nobody listening. No one cares if you were there at the beginning of Dochi. No one cares about any of that. No one cares. Want to know why? Because the artists, the people who actually make this stuff, are getting more money. They can finally have it. They don't care that you were the first one. If I get popular on YouTube and all my original fans are like, I was here at the beginning of Serial's TV, I was the beginning, I don't care. I'm happy you're here. Thank you for building me into what I am today, but I'm becoming bigger. You cannot have the unprecedented budgets and production quality without also attracting a horde of casual viewers with bad opinions. It's a package deal. The deeply analytical, nuanced fan and the person who just thinks the visuals are so aesthetic are two sides of the same economic coin. One funds the other. It's the same thing. It's sad, it sucks, and it's stupid, but it's the same thing. I had a local band one time, and they went wildly popular. They got really big, and they got a lot of record deals, and I was really happy. And one of my other friends was also a fan of this band, and they said, hey, I knew them before they got popular. Who gives a damn? You can mourn the loss of intimacy, but you can't argue with the resources that allow them to create music with a full orchestra instead of a broken guitar. Think of that. The art itself is evolving, becoming more ambitious and visually spectacular, precisely because the audience is bigger and the money is real. The TikToker filming their ramen with an Attack on Titan soundtrack is annoying, deeply annoying, and they suck. But their view, their click, their purchase is part of the economic fuel that allowed Attack on Titan to have that soundtrack and that animation quality in the first place. They are a vital, if often irritating, part of the ecosystem. The alternative isn't a return to some pure golden age of anime. The alternative is a contraction. It's fewer shows, smaller budgets, and a return to the dark ages of animation where talent was constantly bled dry by passion alone. I will take the cringe tourists over that any day. This isn't about respectability, it's about survival and evolution. The tourists, with their half-baked takes and surface-level engagement, are necessary lifeblood for the art that we love to not just survive, but to thrive and visually outperform every other medium on the planet. The ignorance is basically the price we pay for spectacle. That's what we get. Now, I'm going to address a few concerns here. I have been called an anime tourist because of my takes over a few certain groups in the anime community, mainly the one that likes Shota and Loli stuff. And I would like to say, I don't care. I just don't care. I just don't care. I'm not calling you guys predators, by the way. That's everybody in my comment section. I think you guys are weird, but you guys are saying, we finally got a tourist here. We finally got a gatekeeper, a tourist gatekept, normie gatekept. You're hurting your own studios by not allowing people to be a part of it. Critiques and criticism are valid. That's what happens. That's the reality of it. Same way I can critique the anime tourists that suck. You can critique me. That's how we have dialogue. That's important. But yeah, just want to talk about it. Have a good day. Bye.
I'm your nigga night, be my loyal. Ooh, happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. Ooh, I love the ride.